In my opinion, this is the best defensive playbook in Madden 26, and it is the New England Patriots defensive playbook. I'm going to be showing you some of my favorite defenses within this playbook, and we just released my full ebook on this playbook in our school community. If you're not a member of our school community yet, it's only $10 to sign up. It's going to get you access to all of my offensive and defensive ebooks for both Madden and for college football. So if you want to check out more and you like what you see in this video, then make sure you sign up today. Again, it's only $10, and I guarantee you that's going to help you become a better Madden player. Now, why do I like this specific playbook as my #1 defensive playbook in all of Madden 26? Really, it starts and ends, in my opinion, in their nickel formations. Obviously, they have some really good dime and kind of sub formations as well. But what I love about this is they have the 2-4, the nickel 2-4 single mug. This 2-4 single mug is really, really effective. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that make this defense so good. Now, the way that I like to set my coaching adjustments up, typically on defense, unless I'm running a man-to-man based defense, is I'm going to have auto flip on, except for certain blitzes. Defensive motion response disabled. Read key is going to be on conservative. Pitch key is going to be on aggressive. Read key and pass key are both going to be on conservative. Then when you come down here, I'm pretty much liking my hooks on 5 at this point. I feel like the vertical hooks and really just the hooks in general are pretty bad in this game. So if you don't put them on 5, they're not going to play super good for you. That being said, if you do want to run match, you do need to put this back onto default. Safety depth, we're going to be going with close, and safety width, I am going to be going with pinch. Now, I love this single mug because we can run this with auto flip on, and it's actually still a really, really good defense. There's a lot of different ways to run the defense. My favorite is to use Tampa 2. And you're going to see that with this Tampa 2, we can hold down the button. We can select that Texas 4-man stunt. We're just going to spread our defensive line, and then from there, I'm just going to kind of run my user out of the middle. As you see, this is one of the best send for pressures in the entire game. Now, the other thing that I like about this set is if we just simply slant our D-line down, we're going to QB contain. This is going to help us kind of keep the mobile quarterbacks in the pocket. What happens a lot of times is these defensive tackles will get really, really good shed animations within the middle of the defense. Of course, I say that and we don't get any shed, but you know, it's one of those things where it just kind of comes down to ratings. It kind of just comes down to as is. But the other thing about this that I really like is the fact that we have just a good 4-down lineman rush that we can kind of build our defense around. There we get a little bit of a shed to the middle of the field. You see we get that nice pass rush. Now, those are just the base rushes. There's a lot of things that we can do to generate pressure. One of the easiest things we can do is just blitz this linebacker right here. And a lot of times you're going to get one of these defensive linemen looping through the middle to craft some pressure against your opponent. One of the best parts of the nickel single mug is the fact that you can run this with auto flip on. And I'm going to show you kind of how this formation lines up. If they were to audible to a trips tight end type of look, what you're going to notice is that we still are pretty much in a favorable alignment. What I like to do is just simply flip the play. And you're going to see here that we're able to kind of stay in a pretty decent base alignment here. And then I like to spread my line. And then obviously we kind of have that Texas 4-man stunt as it's such a good kind of base defense. Now, while that is a really, really good base defense, what I think makes it even better is the fact that there are some other kind of blitzes that we can run from this base look. So we'll kind of use that trips tight end as an example here. If they were to audible maybe to a trips or something like that, what that's going to do is it's going to put your linebacker on the other side when you flip. So what I like to do here is just globally blitz my linebacker straight down. Then you can feel free to user the defensive end or the slot corner. It just depends on how you want to do it. So for example, if we wanted to run a defense like this, you could even use her this slot safety here, however you want to use her within this defense. But basically what you're going to see is we're going to get immediate and instantaneous pressure with this little blitz out of the Tampa 2. So I love this blitzing concept. And the other thing about this is we could pretty much run this out of almost anything in the formation. For example, if I want to run cover 4 quarters, I can run cover 4 quarters. I think this is what makes this defense good, is because from the same pre-snap look, we're able to run a variety of coverages, not just man, not just zone, but also some matching concepts as well. And so the single mug is just one of the most versatile defenses in the game. And it gets by far and away the best 4-man stunt in all of Madden 26. So that being said, that is one of my favorite defenses, and that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of all of the things that you can do from the 2-4 single mug. You also have the 2-4 double mug, which is a really good defense as well. And I kind of like to do a similar style here. We're going to be basing out of the Tampa 2, and we're just going to be spreading our linebackers, spreading our defensive line. And you're going to see that this loop is pretty good, or this 4-man stunt is pretty good. Again, not going to come in every single time. Okay, it is a stunt, but it is a good stunt that we have access to here. The other thing about this is, as we kind of go through here, we can also, every now and then, if we wanted to, we could just run a one-sided stunt. So for example, we could just select the left Texas 2-man stunt, and then we could QB contain the other side and only send, 2 at the opponent, and then have the contains on the back side. The other thing that's really good about this double A gap is when you spread these linebackers out, feel free to just blitz one of them. It's going to create kind of a crossfire style, or an edge blitz style of loop on that outside linebacker. Another way that we can run the defense is we can just globally blitz these guys straight down, user this slot corner, which in my opinion is the best way to run this defense. And I like to spread my defensive line. I think it does help a little bit with just getting the edge pressure in consistently. And if they send 5 out, we're going to be able to get some pretty decent pressure out of this. So this 2-4 double mug is a very versatile defense, and it's also really good for coming in, even if they block a running back, as you can see right there. So you have the ability to kind of really take the pressure up a notch in the 2-4 double mug, as well as the single mug in this defense. Some of the other defenses that you have in here is you do have this 3-3 odd. This 3-3 odd is good every single year. I don't care what anybody says. And you can actually run this with auto flip off, LB cross 3 show 2. What we want to do is we want to loop the guy that has the 3-rec hook blitz angle. So we want to loop the 3-rec hook side. So what I like to do in this situation is we are just going to quarter that outside safety, and then we're going to third this guy, and then I'm just going to shade underneath. But you see, this is kind of what the defense looks like, and you have potential for this loop to be able to come in. Again, not going to come in every single time, but it can come in, which is, really, really important. Another thing you can do to make this a little bit better of a loop is you can, spread your defensive line. That'll kind of space this out a little bit better, and you're going to potentially get the pressure in. Now, you can also loop the other direction as well. So if that loop's not working very well, we can always kind of try this loop right here, which is, kind of just flipping everything. And you're going to see that time almost got to disengage from the defensive tackle. So 3-3-5 odd, still a pretty decent defense, all things considered. I'm going to show you a couple of other things that I like to do out of this defense. One of them is just a simple send 5 that is probably becoming one of my favorite ways to blitz in the game. And it's actually out of a play that you don't really see a lot of people call. So for this specific setup, I'm going to turn autoflip off, and I am going to go grab the hot blitz, but not the hot blitz 3. Actually, it's called, if I can find it here, the hot blitz bale. This play right here has this linebacker on the right side in a straight down blitz angle. All we're going to do to set the splits up is you're just going to user this left side linebacker right in here, and then you can make whatever coverage adjustments that you want. Now, because of the positioning of the safeties, I recommend that you put them in a quarter so that they will actually run back, and you can kind of do your adjustments as is out of that. But as you can see, you're going to get screaming pressure up the middle with that linebacker on that side. Now, one of the other things that you can kind of try is you can actually slant your defensive line here to the right, or to the side of the loop, or to the side of the A gap. And what will happen occasionally is it will create kind of a crossfire type of blitz angle. And you see there that that's going to kind of get you a little bit of another method by which you might be able to get some pressure. Another way that you can crash within this defense is if you simply just slant your D-line inside. That is also going to kind of change the blitz angle ever so slightly, and you're going to see a little bit cleaner A-gap pressure. But this is a really, really good blitz. It's also really good if they block the running back on the opposite side of the blitz that you're trying to send. So you see in this example, we're going to block the running back on this left-hand side. And sometimes this can still come in against a blocked running back there. He kind of instant shedded him. But overall, a decent little defense here that you can run out of this hot blitz bale. If you do show blitz, it's going to put the linebacker into the gap like that, and then you can kind of set up your defense. Let's see if we can actually mess up my blitz angle here. But you're going to see that linebacker will still scream right through the middle. So it's very quick pressure, which is why I like it and prefer that style of pressure, because it just gets in super, super quickly. So you have those couple of blitzes that I think are really good. If you do want to try a traditional loop, you have the crossfire within this defense as well. And then the 2-4 load mug, this is a defense that not a lot of people are really looking at right now, seriously, but I do think that this defense does have some usage. If we just utilize, and I'm going to turn auto flip on, we're going to use this Tampa 2, and what you're going to see is we can globally blitz our linebacker straight down. This linebacker is going to be in that A-gap blitz angle, and then we're able to put this guy in, whatever coverage we want and kind of user him, and you're going to see that we're going to get really screaming, quick A-gap pressure from this look. Another thing that we can do out of this is we can run a stunt. So you see here that we have this right Tom 2-man stunt. If I was to set this up, what will happen is occasionally those defensive tackles will disengage or just loop through the middle. So that's a nice stunt that you have access to within your defense. The other thing that you could do here is you can kind of keep it simple and, again, just blitz those linebackers straight down. But this time we're going to user this linebacker on this left side. And you're going to see here that still you get a little bit of pressure, not as clean as the one before, but some ways in which you can get pressure. The other thing that you can do is shift your linebackers opposite of the nickel corner and kind of run this a little bit more like a nickel triple type of defense where you're trying to send off the edge. That is a little bit better for base protection than it is for empty protection. If you guys didn't know, empty protection kind of fans out a little bit more, whereas base protection is going to be kind of more what we've seen in previous years. So you see we got a little bit of pressure off that edge, but base protection typically worse against edge pressure, but better against loops. And then empty pressure, typically worse against loops, but better against edge pressure like double mug and 6-1. So anyways, that is that. I'll show you a really cool blitzing concept here out of the nickel 2-4. It is the play edge blitz 0. Literally all you're going to do is you're going to select it and you're going to go down to the Texas 4-man stunt. The edge blitz is going to stock rush everybody outside. And then if they do send their running back out on the route, you need to go guard him. But you see that you're able to get quick edge pressure with this little defense here. The other thing that you can do is as that guy walks over there, you can man him up to the running back. And then now you can try to get the pressure coming in off of the other side as well, off of a 5-man, kind of similar to what we were doing out of the nickel 2-4 single mug defense. But I love that these defenses have the outside linebackers standing up in the pressures. I think that that's super, super helpful. You also have this 4-4 split, which a lot of people really aren't talking about, but I do think it is actually a really, really good defense here for the red zone or really any kind of run play. I'm just going to go through and I wonder if I can just go by concept. Can I just call random runs? I can. I'm going to double tap and we're going to call just random run plays. But basically what you're going to see here is all you're going to do is you are just going to pinch your D-line, spread your linebackers. You're going to user this third. And you're going to see that this is going to basically stop every single run in the entire game. It's going to be very difficult to consistently run on this. Obviously, if they're in shotgun, you're going to be in a good shape to just simply shoot every shotgun run. But this is a phenomenal, phenomenal run defense. And in the red zone, what I like to do is just take these outside guys, these outside defenders, and put them in hard flats, and then basically just user this guy right here in case they do pass the ball. But anyway, this is one of my favorite run defenses in the entire game. It's just really easy to stop the overwhelming majority of the runs that you're going to face, and that is why I love this run defense. So this 4-4 is just one of my favorite run defenses in the entire game if they're not running like a goal line quarterback sneak or anything like that. So we do have the 4-4 defense, which I do think is a really, really good red zone defense. The next thing that I was going to go over in this video is the dime 1-4. Real quick tip with dime 1-4, make sure you have good change of direction players in these two linebacker positions. It's really going to make a big difference when we go to blitz them. And for this, we're going to leave our auto flip on, and you are going to use the play cross the fire. So what I like to do with this is kind of same as the 3-3 odd. I like to spread my defensive line, and then I'm going to try to loop off the 3-rec side. You see here, sometimes this loop gets a little bit wonky in practice mode, but in game, both of those loops that I showed you out of 3-3 and this one, they're a little bit better. So you have the ability to kind of craft your pressures just based on kind of what they need to be able to attack. But anyways, I do like this crossfire blitz, and if it's not coming in on that other side, then feel free to loop this side as well. And you're going to see here, hopefully we'll be able to get this pressure. Finally got that loop to quasi come in on that left side. But this is a great way to loop in this game, is to use these crossfire blitzes. These crossfire blitzes are really effective. A lot of different ways to hover, to be honest with you. At this point in the year, nobody has like the locked in perfect setup. But this is a way that you can craft pressure out of Dime 1-4. Dime 1-4 is also really good just because it's a very switch stick optimized defense. And I actually think, honestly, if you don't hover at all, it even makes it a little bit better. There, the guard went crazy. We're actually able to get some pressure for you. And you can see that I'm not crazy. These blitzes are pretty decent. One of the best coverages in the game, real quick for you, is cover 3 cloud, and you can honestly run it either side. What's really cool about the user is if I like just stand back here, that can still come in. That loop can still come in without the hover. So you don't necessarily have to hover in the gap. Another one of my favorite covered shells is this right here. Pretty much any bunch is going to, this is going to be a good shell for pretty much any bunch in the game, especially if you have those hooks on 5 yards. This is going to be a good way to play defense. And you see there's that guard kind of glitches out, and we're able to play good coverage within that. So that is the Dime 1-4, at least an abbreviated version, and some of the things that I like to do out of that formation. And I mean, you're seeing like this is just the tip of the iceberg. This Dime 2-3 is kind of a fun formation. It's a little bit slightly different than the nickel 2-4, but it's very similar. You can go with the edge blitz 0 Texas 4-man stunt, and you can just kind of stunt your face off and try to get pressure sending 6 that way. One of the better ways to get pressure in this game, if you're sending 6, is to have a stunt on both sides and then have the send 6, just because it's going to make it harder to consistently block this edge pressure. And you see right there, I don't know why the slot corner got held up there, but he did. But anyways, that is a 6-man version. If I remember running this defense, I'm probably not going to be sending 6. But what happens is when you audible, I like to, again, just run the Texas 4-man stunt. And again, just like in the 2-4, these guys are standing up. And in my opinion, that makes the stunt a little bit better when both linebackers on the outside are standing up, especially when you spread the D-line, which is really only possible in Dime 2-3-6. When you spread the defensive line in Dime 2-3-6, they are going to still stand up on the outside. Haven't really ran a lot of this dime load week, but in general, I bet you that pinch blitz is basically going to be like 6-1. So here, we're just going to actually need to flip this user, this linebacker right here, and really just try to trigger this edge pressure off of that left side. Wasn't able to do that right there, but you do have this formation. It's kind of similar-ish to dime rush. The one unfortunate thing about this formation, in my opinion, is it doesn't have the Texas 4-man, but it does have the 2-man stunts. So you can do a 2-man stunt on either side and then have a little bit better contain within that. So anyway, we talked about some of my favorite defenses. The other ones, of course, are the 3-4 odd and the 3-4 under and 4-3. So I really like 6-1 as kind of a, I don't know, like it's just a good all-around defense every single year. I this year like to spread my linebackers, and then basically what we're going to do is on the running back side, we're going to man him up like that, and then we can send 5 off of the opposite side, as you can see right there. Now, if they're consistently blocking their running back to try to improve their pass protection, then what I'll typically do is still send this linebacker. You'll see here, I like to pinch my D-line and spread my linebackers this year, but I am going to re-blitz this defensive end on the right side. As you see, when I go to do that, his blitz angle sometimes messes up, but in general, this is one of the best send 6s in the game and going to consistently get you pressure when they block a running back. The other thing about 6-1 is a lot of people believe that it has the best sheds in the entire game. So if you just want to send 4 just like this, a lot of times you're going to get really, really good sheds out of this defense. And you can still stunt out of it as well. So I do feel like as the year goes on, this defense is going to continue to improve. So I just can see that this defense will get better. There you see a little DTA gap from the cover 2. The only thing I forgot to say is if you flip your Tampa 2 like this, you kind of get these linebackers in an interesting position for blitzing. And we'll see if we're able to get the pressure there. Not quite able to. But I'm just telling you right now, 6-1 is always good. It's always good as the year goes on. It always gets better as the year goes on as well. Now, an underrated defense in this playbook, and one that I personally really like, is going to be the 4-3 tight Leo. Now, when I run this defense, I'm going to turn auto flip off, and I'm going to be basing pretty much exclusively out of hot blitz 3, and I'm going to flip this play. So the reason I'm going to do that is I have this really good A-gap blitz angle right here. And then really from there, I'm just going to drop the D in on that side in a zone, and then we can kind of create our send 5, which looks something like this. And you're going to see that if they send 5 out, you're going to get pressure with that linebacker screaming right up the A gap. Now, the next thing that we can do from this is we can also drop this defensive tackle. What I like to do with this defensive tackle is I'll drop him in man coverage on the running back or something like that. That way, if the running back does block, you'll still get a little bit better of a pass rush. But you see there, like the blitz is pretty much going to come in even if they send, or if they send 5 out. So this is, another one of my favorite styles of pressure right now. And also, you don't really even have to hover on this blitz, in my opinion. The blitz normally just works pretty well as is. So this is just one of the simplest ways that you can play defense in this game. If you want a real simple defense, I think this is it because it's so simple and you're going to get instantaneous pressure if they're not blocking anybody. If they do block somebody, they kind of have to block the running back. Typically, they're going to be able to block the blitz, but sometimes if the guy's on the running, if the running back's on the opposite side of the blitzer, as you see, he'll get a quick shed animation, or he could easily come in at the quarterback as well. So this is another defense that I think you should take a look at, is this hot blitz 3 out of this 4-3 under or 4-3 tight Leo. It's kind of similar to 3-4 tight. And then we do have some other stuff here. So this 3-4 under has some decent pressures this year as well. The 3-4 under defense, if we take a look at this weak blitz 3, I like to flip it. And you're going to see, again, we have that A-gap blitz angle. What we're going to do to the D-line here is we're just going to pinch our defensive line. What I like to do is shade underneath, and then I'll put a deep half and a soft squat on that back side. And essentially, we have a send 5. This is one of the best A-gap blitzes in the game. As you saw, literally the Red Sea parts. This is a beautiful, beautiful blitz, in my opinion, just the way that it animates well. The other thing that you can do here is you can contain out of this one, and it's going to be pretty foolproof. As you see, you can literally drive a tractor trailer through that gap as we're getting the pressure on that right side. Another thing about this defense is if you wanted to pinch your linebackers, you'll see that it will give him that straight down blitz angle, kind of like we were doing out of the other 3-4s. But in my personal opinion, for whatever reason, at a 3-4 under, I find that it's not quite as effective. Now, if they do go to base protection, you're still going to have a pretty good chance at being able to get this pressure either from the linebacker or occasionally from the defensive tackle based on how they block. The biggest thing that you can do with this blitz, in my opinion, is make sure that your user is slightly in between this tackle and this other D lineman. And you see there that D tackle is trying to disengage up the middle. But this is another little defense that I like. If you want to send 4, I will say this is a fairly decent send 4. You can actually get some pressure off the send 4. Sometimes this guy can loop in, and you're going to be able to have good sheds as well. I just like the blitz angles a lot out of this defense. I do think that it's fairly effective. You'll see here, if I were to go cover 2 on this right side, sometimes this guy can kind of loop in. It's kind of like the old school dollar loop. But anyway, that is an option that you have as well within this 3-4 under. You can run this off of the opposite side as well. And we'll show that real quick. So if you wanted to run this with auto flip on, you can. But I just think those A-gap blitzes are much better to the right than they are to the left side consistently. So that's why I like to run it on the opposite side there. 3-4 bear. This is a formation I haven't spent a ton of time in, honestly. And I don't really feel like I have anything crazy out of it just yet. But I do see some potential in this formation for later. Now, the other defense that I wanted to get into a little bit with you is 3-4 odd. There's a lot of ways to run this. One of the easiest ways is to run wheel buck 3 press. All you're going to do is literally just call the defense. That's all you have to do. If you want to do any adjustments, just shade underneath, and then you can play cover 2 on the left side. But this is a really good send 5. As you see right there, you're just going to get that little stunt, and that guy is going to be coming in free. If you wanted to, you could pinch your defensive line. Sometimes this can trigger a gap from that left side defensive tackle. But in general, this is just one of the easiest ways to send pressure in this game. It isn't send 5, but it's one of the better ones because you literally don't have to do anything. You just show up, hike and you just call the defense, and it's pretty much going to be set up for you. So again, I'm just going to shade down here, and you're going to see that really the best way to run it is just to call it straight up, and that guy's going to loop through that B gap right there. Now, the other way that you could run 3-4 odd is you can run it really more based around the pinch blitz. And the pinch blitz is really good in a game where there is no baseline because what you can do from an audible perspective. So what you can do with this pinch blitz is you're just going to come out in the play. And I like to flip it right here. Now, from there, you can just back this linebacker straight up like that. And then you can drop this defensive end on the left side in coverage, whatever coverage you want. You're going to see that you're going to get that linebacker looping or just screaming right through the middle. Another thing that you could do is if you audibled out into like a Tampa 2, for example, you can blitz this linebacker. Whoops, I apologize. This, I think I blitzed the right one. Let me crash down here. For some reason, it's being a little wonky. But you can crash down, and you can kind of get the same basic idea here. As you see, we're going to get this guy right through the middle. Very nice. And we're able to get good 5-on-5 pressure out of this. Another thing that you can do is if you blitz, let's see if I slant. I'm getting my blitzers messed up here. But you can kind of just recreate the same principles a lot out of different blitzes within the 3-4 odd. The biggest thing to me, though, is you want to be sending 4 in this game. I wanted to show you one other way that is kind of a fun way that you can send 4 out of dime 146 we really didn't talk about. And this one is really more for, it just gives you the ability to have a very, very simple defense that you can run out of the huddle pretty much straight up. It's going to be the Tampa 2, and you are going to want to auto flip off for this one. All you're going to do is you see that when you run this blitz to this side, you get this A-gap blitz angle. So you're just going to move him right about there. You're going to really pinch down on this A-gap, and a lot of times you'll see he will loop through the middle. It's not 100%, but to me, Tampa 2 is one of the most important defenses in the entire game. And so if you can run this coverage shell or this coverage at all, the blitz is... as you see right there, we're able to get that pressure, and we're only sending 4 people. And the setup is actually relatively simple. All we're doing is we're just clicking onto the linebacker here and just moving him. You don't have to move him too far. Just move him just past the center, and you want him to just loop straight down just like that. And you see we're getting pretty consistent pressure out of this Tampa 2, and all we're doing is just kind of the standard, like pull him across. The thing about this blitz is, let's say you flip it, you'll notice that the blitz angle from left to right is a lot different than the blitz angle from right to left. It's not a bad blitz angle. It's just not the right blitz angle for what we're looking to do. And so that's why, for that reason, I really like this one because, again, just shift this linebacker or just slightly move him over. I like to contain, and if you want to re-blitz this guy on the right, feel free to do so. But you see we're getting really, really consistent pressure. We're also going to get a little bit of a disengage if they don't block the blitz properly. So people will try different IDs and different things like that. that can actually trigger this blitz to be made a little bit better. Here, I'm just going to go to base pass protection, and you see it does do a decent job, but it's not going to be 100%. And this is a great way. This is just a great defense as a whole to be able to adjust to. So I wanted to break this down. It's kind of becoming one of my favorite ones, just because when that pressure comes in, it comes right through the middle, which is really nice. Obviously, again, not 100%, but it is a good defense nonetheless. And it's something that you can kind of build around this year, in a year where a lot of the blitzes are kind of just finicky. They're not 100%, but you see right there that time almost got the pressure in, got a little bit of a disengage. And really, I think the key with this blitz is actually the coverage behind it. This allows us to do things like the cover 3 rotations that are so effective in this year's game. Make sure you're kind of more towards the center with your user, and this thing can be really good. Again, all of these blitzes that I showed you in this video are going to be a little bit more consistent in game than they are in practice mode. But this is why, one of the many reasons why I really, really love the dime 1-4. I love the Patriots playbook as a whole because of the 2-4 single mug, because of the 2-4 double mug, because of some of the 4-3 formations. There's just a lot to like in this playbook. And if you want to get my entire defensive ebook, it is available at the link in the description below. And I want to thank you for watching this video, and happy defense in Madden 26.